I am ecstatic about rivalry week and the separation between NFL rivalries and college rivalries is something I've highlighted a lot because college just does it better. It's more tribal, it's more passionate, it's just better across the board. There's more pageantry, history, tradition. There's only one a year, not two like in the NFL. It's just across the board. So my everydayers who have been with me for a while, thank you for doing that, by the way. And thank you all for helping make Locked On the number one sports podcast network out there. What I have long said is realignment is not great for the sport. The super conferences, they blow things up. You have imbalanced conference schedules in terms of quality of teams you're playing. There are all sorts of issues, right? One of my favorite things for quite a while that realignment has brought back is Texas playing Texas A&M. This is as good of a rivalry between the two fan bases as exists in the entire sport. And that it went dormant for as long as it did is a travesty. It never needed to happen, but Texas A&M left and then Texas got there as well. But again, this is one that needed to just continue to be played. Like the border war, Kansas and Missouri. That one never should have stopped. It was played this year. It was a fantastic game. So I think that for Texas A&M and Texas to be playing in rivalry week on an annual basis, 10 out of 10, 5 stars, no notes. Texas A&M is favored by just 2.5 points against the Longhorns in this game. I am so excited to watch because there is going to be something very classic and traditional about this matchup from a feel standpoint. For me, someone that doesn't have a dog in the fight. I don't really care if Texas A&M or Texas wins. I'm going to make a pick. It's Texas A&M to win the game. But I don't have a super strong feeling. I don't have a personal tie to it or anything like that. So what I look at in this game and why I say it has a traditional feel is college football used to just be about the game in front of you, the regular season matchups, and the postseason was secondary, and we liked bowl season and thought playing in the Fiesta Bowl with nothing else beyond it was a great outcome and such. And of course, the world has changed, and so my commentaries evolved from that particular time, in addition to the fact that I didn't necessarily have commentary back then because I was, 10. So Texas A&M and Texas has, I want to make this very clear, zero, I repeat, zero major playoff implications. That's the downside. Texas A&M is 11-0. Yeah, the SEC applies to what I talked about or gets the standard applied to it that I apply to any Power 4 conference. You win 11 regular season games, you lose one time, I want you in the playoff. I want you in the playoff. If I had a vote, I would split it probably into 2 5-point scales to create a number out of 10, best and most deserving. If you go 11-1, you're a 4.5 out of 5 on most deserving. I might not think you're the best. I might only give you a 3. But if you're at 7.5, pretty good score. 7.5 out of 10, be a pretty good score. So Texas A&M is a team that deserves to go to the college football playoff, whether or not they lose this game, whether or not they win the SEC. Sure, it'll affect seeding. Okay, for whatever that is worth. The Aggies could wind up with a home football game as a playoff matchup if they lose this game. So for Texas A&M getting into the playoff, there is I repeat, no major implication unless you care about getting a bye. Okay. The bye teams went 0-4 last year. I don't think that's likely to continue. One of them's going to win this year, probably 2. Now, on the other side for Texas, I also want this to be very clear. There are no playoff implications for the Longhorns. The pileup of teams, and I'm about to get to what could happen here because it just continues to look more and more because of the matchups you've got this week. Like so many 10-win teams will get left out, and I actually kind of like that. I kind of like it. I feel for those fan bases, but I kind of like it. Anyway, Texas at 9-3, even if they have a win over Texas A&M, should under no circumstance be considered, discussed, thought about, talked about notes jotted down, calculations being, I want to see nothing, and you will hear nothing on this program with regards to Texas being a potential playoff team. I don't want to see a 3-loss team make the playoff. It's why I don't want the playoff expanded ever again. You already went too far with 12. 6 or 8 was the right number. You went to 12. Okay, whatever. Can we please knock this off? Probably not. But Texas at 9-3 should be looking back and feeling what Alabama felt last year, what Ole Miss felt last year, what South Carolina felt last year. For Ole Miss, it was Kentucky. For Alabama, it was Oklahoma. For South Carolina, it was one of a couple close games that didn't go their way. Texas should feel at the end of this year, oh my goodness, I'm going to impersonate a Texas fan for a moment, what I want them to think and feel at the end of this year. If they beat Texas A&M. That's an if. I don't think that's happening, by the way. I like Texas A&M to win 34-27. But if the Longhorns win, that's not impossible. I want Longhorns to feel like this. Oh my goodness, we actually lost to Florida. That's why we didn't make the playoff, and Florida fired their coach. That's what it should be. That's what it should be. Now, real quick, Utah is playing at Kansas this week. That's a tougher game than you'd think. The Wildcats, the other team in Kansas, went for about 592,000 yards running on Utah, and Kansas could do the same. If Utah finds a way to win, they're 11.5-point favorite on the road. They'll be sitting there at 10-2. And though I love Utah fans, I reside in the Beehive State. That's not where this show is being recorded, but I reside in the Beehive State. I know a lot of Utah fans. They are great. It's an awesome fan base. I am okay with teams getting left out at 10-2. It's going to happen again. And you know why I'm okay with it? Go back to my original principle about what makes college football great, the regular season and the week-to-week urgency. If 10-2 doesn't lock you into the playoff, even with a resume like Utah's, where they have steamrolled everybody except for Kansas State and their 2 losses, they've routed everybody else. If that's not enough, then we are still in a good place as a sport. Not where I'd like us to be, but we're still in a good place. Because that means after losing to BYU, it's got to sting for Utah fans. And it's going to sting even more because it'll be the game to look back and go, wow, if Utah had won that game, they would have been in the playoff. And I think they would have, but maybe they'd be in the exact spot where BYU is right now. They probably would. They're separated by 1 game. It's that matchup. But you could see 10-2 Miami get left out. You could see 10-2 Utah get left out. 10-2 Vanderbilt get left out. 10-2 Virginia likely to get left out. Georgia Tech fell all the way to 23. They cratered after last week's loss to Pitt at home. They could beat Georgia this week. They're an 11.5-point home underdog. They could beat Georgia. They still probably wouldn't get in the playoff at 10-2, which I think is a shame. But that's the price you pay being in the ACC right now. So, Utah, I love you, but if you don't get in at 10-2, I'm probably not even going to have you there. If you look at my rankings here, for those watching on YouTube, I've got Utah at 15. If they win, they need Vandy to lose. They need Michigan to lose. Well, that could happen. But then you need Notre Dame to lose. And you need Miami to lose. Because you're going to have the G5 and the ACC champ. I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not a 0% chance, Utah, but it's pretty low. 10-2 not getting you into the playoff. By the way, just throwing this out there. There is absolutely a world in which after Saturday, if Miami goes on the road and beats Pitt, who's a ranked team, I might jump them over Alabama. Might do it. I'm just saying I might. Just saying I might, which would leave Bama out of the playoff at 10-2. In which case they'd look back and go, oh my goodness, the Florida State game. And that's all I want.